good evening. Taoiseach, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's wonderful to see you all here this evening. Before we get started, can I ask you to please welcome the President of UCD, Professor Andrew J. Deeks. The Dean of UCD College of Business, Professor Kieran O'Hogarty, and the Chairman of the UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School, Mr. Niall Fitzgerald. I'd also like to welcome this evening our award winners and our very special guests, UCD Smurfit School Alumnus of the Year, Gordon Hardy, UCD Quinn School Alumnus of the Year, Breach O'Donoghue, UCD Smurfit School Student of the Year, Jim Gannon, and UCD Lachlan Quinn School of Business Student of the Year, Mark Byrne. Unfortunately, the Taoiseach couldn't be with us this evening, but he has sent a message for our award winners.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure, I have to say, to be able to address you on a great night for the UCD Business School and for your alumni. This is a time of increasing optimism for our country. The sacrifices made by our people are now paying off. We are the fastest growing economy in Europe. Unemployment continues to fall month by month. Businesses are increasingly positive about their prospects. I know well, however, that most families in Ireland are only beginning to feel the benefits of the recovery, and many have not yet felt the benefits at all. So our focus as a government is to ensure that more and more people in every part of the country start to experience the economic recovery in their daily lives. Job creation is our number one priority, and I want to commend the UCD School of Business for the great role you play in helping to educate and shape the entrepreneurs and business leaders who do so much to create jobs in our society. As a trading nation, we rely on our overseas connections, and I also value the work which this school is doing to internationalise its student cohort. As a government policy, we see international students and graduates as important global ambassadors for Irish education, business and culture. Those we educate today will be our business partners of tomorrow. So let me pay particular tribute this evening to the two winners of tonight's Alumni Awards, both of whom have made an impact internationally in their professional fields. Breach O'Donoghue has played a leading role in Primark's extraordinary international growth, conquering Europe with their targets now firmly set on the US. And Gordon Hardy, who is Managing Director of Bunge, one of the world's leading agribusiness companies. UCD can be very proud of these two graduates of global reputation. I want to wish you all a pleasant evening and to thank you for your support of an event which celebrates great Irish success stories and by funding new scholarships supports the next generation of business leaders. Go raibh maith agat ar fad.
Attracting the best students, regardless of their financial means, is central to our vision to being recognised as a leading business school internationally. Every year, the school is able to offer approximately 100 scholarships to the most deserving and promising students. Securing additional scholarship support continues to be one of our top priorities, and we're deeply grateful to our donors. With your generosity and your continued support, we can offer the best students scholarships irrespective of their financial means. The next short video is introduced by Aidan Heavey of Tullahoyle. Tullahoyle are our platinum sponsors here this evening. I'd like to welcome Ian Dunleavy and all the team here from Tullahoyle, and thank you very much for your ongoing support, not just of the business school, but also of the wider university. We really appreciate it. So now let's hear from the students ourselves to see just how life-changing the scholarships are to them.
Tullahoyle is delighted to be the platinum sponsor of the Alumni Awards for the fourth year we're running. As alumni of the business school myself, it's wonderful to celebrate the achievements of my fellow alumni at an occasion like this. All the proceeds from tonight's fundraising dinner will go to providing merit and need-based scholarships to continue to attract exceptional students from around the world, with special emphasis on the emerging markets. And this is something that Tullahoyle feels very passionately about, and we're very proud to support.
Quite simple really. Without a scholarship I wouldn't be here in Smurfit doing an MBA. It has literally removed a financial barrier for me and enabled me to do something I was incredibly keen to do.
scholarships are important because it reduces the barriers and levels the playing field so that people like me can compete with people who come maybe from more financially secure backgrounds.
It means that I've been in a position to do the course I want in the school I want.
I had to work hard to get the scholarship, but I'm really glad I did because it basically means that the scholarship proves to me that, you know, what I've done before, my background and my studies, I've been given value.
I personally come from a family where I'm the only person of 6 children to complete my Leaving Cert and attend 3rd level.
It means giving me wings to fly and fulfill all my dreams. I'm from a part of India called Kashmir where there are a lot of inhibitions in sending a girl child abroad, and I'm the first girl in the family to take up a master's course abroad. I had an offer letter from one of the very recognized university in Canada, but because I got a scholarship from UCD Smurfit, so when I had to choose, it's better that I use Smurfit Business School over any other universities in the world.
The scholarship kind of opened this whole host of career opportunities that I just wouldn't have had otherwise, and it was a real worry for a long time. I thought I'd have to move abroad again, but Ireland just sort of opened up after coming here and being able to take on the scholarships.
There's some incredible people out there with real gifts and talents and something unique to offer. And for a lot of these people, access to places like Smurfit is simply beyond their means. But it's exactly places like Smurfit that these people need to be in order to mix it with the best and show what they can do.
I'd now like to welcome our chairman, Mr. Niall Fitzgerald, to the stage to deliver the opening address. Thank you.
Well, my job is to welcome you tonight, but I just had a panic attack on the way up because I was going through my head, as one does as you walk to the stage, what are you going to say? And the words kept coming into my mind, well, thank you very much for this extraordinary honour to be the alumnus of the year. And I thought, no, that's what I said in 2012. I'm doing something different tonight. So welcome to everybody. This is a great occasion. And because I have myself been a recipient of this extraordinary award, I know how the honorees are feeling, and I know how their families are feeling. Very proud, very happy for them on this occasion. I'd like to welcome the Taoiseach who's with us, Joan Burton, Sean Kelly, who is the chairman of the North American Advisory Board, and some of his colleagues who've been with us today. Thank you for making the trip. And of course the honorees and their families. Thinking of honorees and families, I was speaking to one of the honorees last night who should remain nameless, other than the fact he's from Cork. And he told me the extraordinary thing that he has 43 first cousins. And over 150, I think it was, children of these first cousins. I said, that's not a family, that's a very large tribe. But I'm sure all of those, that very large tribe, are also very proud on his behalf tonight. The school is in rude health. Its reputation is high, thanks to the quiet, highly efficient leadership of Kieran and his senior team. The school is ambitious, is going to go further with the help of that team, the help of the board, and indeed the help of all of UCD. And it's going to go further because that's what it needs to do, to be a leader in its arena, to lead on behalf of the university and to lead on behalf of Ireland. My primary responsibility, actually, is to set the rules for brevity tonight. The speakers have no more than 5 minutes. Some of them have only 3, and some of them have only 1. And of course, brevity, the rules on brevity were set by Cardinal Newman when he said in relation to a colleague, priest, in relation to the delivery of a sermon, remember, he said, no soul was ever saved after 5 minutes. So I'd like that to be the guiding principle for this evening. I think, by the way, that principle was put in place by Tara from 2012 when I delivered my 1 hour and 10 minutes acceptance speech of the Alumnus of the Year. But I guess that helped them to make it tighter for the future. So my only remaining task, other than to enjoy myself this evening and take great pride in watching the honorees enjoying themselves, is to introduce you to Andrew Deeks, the president of UCD. He is a remarkable international academic and scholar. He's also Australian. I guess there's a joke in there somewhere, but brevity doesn't allow me to tell you the joke. So Andrew, welcome.
Antonis, Sir Joan Burton, awardees, distinguished guests, alumni, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, you are all very welcome here tonight for this very special occasion. On this occasion, we celebrate the success of just a few of our outstanding UCD Business School graduates. It's been an absolute privilege for me to come to Ireland to lead Ireland's global university, UCD. And even in these challenging times, and certainly a year ago it was more challenging than it is now, but even in these challenging times, I've been amazed at just how hard the people at UCD are working. Our faculty have undergone quite significant pay cuts. They've experienced increases in class sizes. They've experienced increases in the number of classes they're teaching, yet they continue to teach those classes with dedication. They continue to do their research, to be involved around the world in cooperations with significant universities. So it's been an absolute privilege to come here. One of the things I've found about UCD is the great warmth with which the alumni hold the university. So as I talk to parents after conferring ceremonies, then I often find, of course, that the parents themselves are alumni, and they may well have met while they were at UCD. And so the warmth that they have for the college is just amazing. Now, because our chairman has set an example in terms of brevity, I better get on with things quite quickly. The first 16 months that I've spent at UCD has been exceptional in terms of the engagement I've found from the staff. And as part of that engagement, we've come up with a new strategy, which will take us through from 2015 to 2020. We took a very consultative approach in developing that strategy, and we have very significant buy-in from the whole university community. The Minister for Education and Skills, Jan O'Sullivan, launched the strategy for us in November last year. And I want to just very briefly tell you a little bit about the strategy. We identified that our mission is to contribute to the flourishing of Dublin, Ireland, Europe, and the world through the excellence and impact of our research and scholarship, and through the quality of our graduates, and through our global engagement. Tonight's awardees are an example of how we have contributed to this flourishing of the world and how we will continue to contribute. Now, the strategy underlying that mission has 10 objectives, but because of the limit Tara has set tonight, I'm not going to go through all 10 of them, but I'll mention just a couple here. What we want to do is to increase the quality, quantity, and particularly the impact of our research, scholarship, and innovation. We want to provide our students with an educational experience that not just follows best practice, but defines best practice. We also want to consolidate and strengthen our disciplines, and you'll be aware that our business school, as of 1st of September, will now be our College of Business, with the undergraduate school and the postgraduate school part of that College of Business. We then want to conduct strong interdisciplinary research in education in important areas of national and global need. And the part that the College of Business will play in that interdisciplinary work is extremely important. And then we will also be building our engagement locally, nationally, and internationally, because that's how we will develop impact from all of our activities. And it was encouraging to hear the Taoiseach saying how important it is for Ireland to recruit students internationally. Having international students in our classes allows all students to have an international education to prepare them to take their place in today's global society. And not least, every 7 international students we bring to Ireland generates 3 additional jobs. So, finally, I just want to thank our College of Business's Director of Alumni Relations, Tara Collins, for the great job that she's done tonight in bringing everything together. Some of you will be aware Okay, I just wanted to slip in another snippet of information before you applauded her, but we can always applaud her twice. Some of you will be aware that Tara had a baby in October and now has 3 under 3. So to put all of this together with 3 under 3 is brilliant. So thank you very much. Please enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to welcome the chaplain, Father John, to say grace before we start the starter. Thank you very much.
We can remain seated. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the gifts of food we are about to receive through the goodness of your bounty. May you thereby invigorate our human creativity and entrepreneurial spirit, which we seek to place at the service of the whole of humanity. We make this prayer to the intercession of our ever-living Lord. Amen. Enjoy your meal.
Thank you very much, Farm for Queen Falter Villig and Sean agus Garmagov Asok for Goluder. You're all very welcome here this evening. Thank you very much for your company yet again. We have filled the room with quality people, so thank you very much for joining us. This is a very important day in the life of an academic, in the life of the school and the College of Business. We bade farewell this morning to our BCom graduating class, and they were full of enthusiasm. We were slightly worried they were more enthusiastic for leaving than we would have expected, but this was the last day of term, looking forward to exams, and we had a very important day for us because this is in a way a passing of another generation. And this evening we honour the generations that have gone before them in leading the school and leading Irish industry. And for that reason, this evening is particularly valuable for us as well, because joining yourselves as alumni of either the Quinn School or the Smurfit School and honouring alumni of the Quinn School and the Smurfit School brings together a very good day for us, a very important day, as I say, in the life of both schools. And one of the other reasons why these days are important is that they signal what we value as a community. And there are 2 things in particular about the awardees tonight that we think we value, we think are important, we like to honour. And through honouring the people we honour this evening, we're particularly pleased to signal also what we value ourselves. And there are 2 things in particular that we are keen to develop in our students. One has developed in the context, particularly in the last number of years, in the context of economic crisis, a new generation of students joining us who have a different view of the world, who want to make a different world in many ways than the generation who passed before. And we're really we're mindful of graduating students who are for the world. And the honorees we have this evening are also for the world. Because we have Gordon Hardy, who was involved in his day in the Food Bank Australia Innovation Award, and subsequently served 2 terms as a non-executive director of Food Bank New South Wales and its chair of its risk committee. And with the support of Goodman Fielder Limited from 2006, Food Bank Australia significantly increased the food volumes available to charities across Australia to fulfil its mission to build an Australia without hunger. So Gordon is somebody who has been there for other people at important times and also signals for us our value as a school in developing graduates who have those values. Similarly, Bríd O'Donoghue has for a long number of years been a trustee of Primark, the Primark Better Lives Foundation. She has held government-appointed positions on the board of a number of state companies, including An Post, Aerínta, as chairman of the Shannon College of Hotel Management. She served on the UCD President's Committee for a long number of years, as well as the Disputes Resolution Committee and the HR Strategy Group, and she's currently a non-executive director of C&C Group and chair of the Labour Relations Commission. Again, Bríd is somebody who, through her work in Primark and outside of Primark, has shown that we have graduates for the world to make the world a better place. And the second aspect that we think is important for this evening and signals a value that we have as a school is that we also have graduates who are in the world. And we are a school and a college which has, for a long number of years, developed the notion that we are international. My predecessors before me saw the value of developing a school at scale, the quality that we wanted needed to be an international school, and that a school that was based in Ireland, an open trading economy like ours, that it would be incongruous for it to be other than international, that the experience we would create for students would be one where they would learn from each other across nationalities and cultures. The Smurfit School today has 53 different nationalities. At one stage it was 50 and I was glad it became 53, because 50 could be 15. You'd have to always emphasize which one it was. So it's 53 nationalities. Over 40% of our students come from overseas. Of the college in total, 70% of our revenues are from non-Exchequer sources. So we are a school that has built an international reputation from Ireland and for Ireland, and our honorees this evening are the same, in that they have developed an international reputation for themselves, and from Ireland and for Ireland have developed a career that's international in nature. Gordon Hardy, as I mentioned, spent a long number of years in Australia. He now works with Bunge Foods in the US. He has been travelling the world and has been developing business for Bunge and others for a long number of years, including, as we'll see later, for Irish companies internationally. Bríd O'Donoghue, who has developed the Primark brand internationally. She is from Boston and Galway, but has also now opened and in charge of opening the store in Boston, New York. So in a way, she's emblematic of the idea we have of people coming from Ireland and developing an international brand, people coming from our school and developing an international brand for Ireland. And likewise, our other honorees have developed an international perspective. Mark Byrne, as we'll see, is a BCom Chinese student, BCom Chinese Studies, who spent a year in China at Renmin University and at Peking University, and in his very core is an internationalist in the way he's thinking about his future and about what he'll do next. And likewise, Jim Gannon has spent time studying overseas. He has competed for UCD in case study competitions overseas at Yale and in other places, and again has a perspective which, like the school, is international. So for those two reasons this evening, we're particularly pleased to honour our honorees and the awardees we have this evening, because they are for the world and they are in the world, as we are a school for the world and in the world. I'll introduce first Jim Gannon, MBA 2014, who's the UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School Student of the Year for 2015. And we have a West of Ireland person introducing two West of Ireland people this evening, because Jim was born and raised in Galway as one of 6 children, qualified from NUI Galway with a Bachelor of Degrees in Civil Engineering in the year 2000, followed up with a Master's in Environmental Assessment from the University of Wales, Aberystwyth, and on completion of his studies in Wales in 2001, he commenced employment with MC O'Sullivan's in Dublin, and who were acquired by RPS Group, where he is now shortly thereafter. Having shown an early interest in renewable energy and energy policy, Jim was tasked with developing this as a mainstream consultancy service offering for RPS. He led the growth of this new business stream within the company over the past decade and counts a range of private, semi-state and government departments as long-term clients. As his career progressed, his technical merit expanded to include environmental and sustainable resource advisory to corporate clients, alongside a broadened focus on competent conventional energy infrastructure. In early 2014, he was appointed to the role of Director, leading the energy, environment, resource management and HSEQ sectors. He joined the Executive MBA at the Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School in 2012, quickly immersed himself in Smurfit life. During his time with us, he captained the Smurfit School at the Molson International Case Competition in Montreal, where his team secured an invitation to the Integrated Leadership Case competition at Yale, who are partners with us in the GNAM partnership, which is a very active partnership for us internationally. The team won awards at both Molson and Yale for team dynamics at both of the competitions, so they were quite Irish in their approach to the case. And he qualified with the first-class honours and achieved an A grade in his group capstone project, which provided a Europe-wide market selection and bespoke market entry strategy for one of the largest independent digital marketing companies in Ireland. Every year when we honour our graduates, they've always done something different. And Jim is keenly interested in music, having played traditional and contemporary music in venues around Galway during his youth and alongside his studies. He's also performed with the Galway Youth and Concert Orchestras and more recently with the Dublin Symphony Orchestra. He balanced this by playing basketball at both InterVarsity and National League finals, alongside coaching both underage and senior teams at different stages. A devoted father, and like Tara, a father of 3 children, but these ones under 5, he is fully re-acclimatised to having free time at weekends. He's a proud graduate of the UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School, and in particular, I think what we find with students like Jim is most of our A students have other things going on in their lives. And I think in particular for that reason, we're very pleased to honour Jim Gannon, the UCD Michael Business School's Graduate of the Year. Thank you, Jim.
Right, my speech will most certainly be shorter than my bio, and I think we've learned a lesson about the power of editorial in producing same. Thanks very much, Kieran, and to the Business School for the award. It's really been a fantastic couple of years for me. Through discussion with our competitors at the case competition, it became quickly apparent that the calibre of students that the elite US universities have and the delivery and academic quality they experience isn't any different to UCD, and in fact UCD surpasses them in some cases. What they do have and what differentiates them from their peers is the strength of the alumni network. And I think what's important to UCD here as well is the power and strength of the alumni network and the opportunities it gives to both new graduates and the not so new graduates that are here in the audience. We naturally resist the urge to call our friends our network at all times, but the value is the same. People who you share trust with, mutual respect with, they're the people who will be with you in the long term. I think the ability to crack a joke and share the glass with something that's preferably well-aged helps too, and I think we're doing that tonight. UCD gave me a broadened skill set and certainly a broadened perspective that helped accelerate me to our senior leadership team in a very brief number of years. I think that value they've given me, and this award particularly, will stand to me for a long, long time, and I'm looking forward to giving that value back over the next couple of years. So enjoy your night, and thank you again.
Mark Byrne, 2014, is the UCD Loughlin Quinn School of Business Student of the Year. He grew up in an Irish-Belgian family. He's the eldest of 2 sons, attended secondary school at Castleknock Community College in Dublin, where he developed a keen interest in international business and languages before entering UCD to pursue his degree and his studies in commerce and Chinese. He graduated with the first-class honours degree in September 2014, achieving first place in the Commerce and Chinese Studies programme and the highest GPA across all degree programmes in the UCD Loughlin Quinn School of Business. And I have to say that when we were choosing this particular honoree this evening, his GPA, his grade point average, was so much higher than anybody else's that we effectively had no choice. Others were doing other things, but Mark was just so far ahead in the context of his achievements that he left us no choice, as I say. But he was awarded various scholarships during his time at UCD, including an entrance scholarship based on his Leaving Cert results, Stage 2 and Stage 3 scholarships for maintaining first place in his degree programmes throughout his studies, so not just in his final year. And he has been awarded 2 consecutive Confucius Institute or Han-Ban scholarships for excellence in Chinese language acquisition. Mark's experience learning about Chinese language, culture and business has played a formative role during his time at UCD. In 2012-13, he spent a year living in China, developing his skills in Mandarin Chinese at Renmin University, before continuing his studies in business at the prestigious Peking University, the Guanghua School of Management. Returning from his year abroad, Mark renewed his involvement around the Quinn School, and in February 2014, he was selected alongside 3 of his classmates to represent UCD at the McDonough Hilltop Business Strategy Challenge in the International Case Study Competition held at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. On finishing his degree, Mark spent 3 years in South Korea at Seoul National University before joining PwC Consulting in September 2014. He continues to follow developments in China and is enthusiastic about the opportunities for Irish business there. So anybody who wants to develop ideas and business in China, Mark seems to be your man. Mark Byrne, thank you very much.
So after that much less illustrious bio, I'd like to begin. So good evening, everyone. It's a great honor for me to humbly accept this award. So I just want to thank UCD for giving me 4 wonderful years of learning, insight, and also indeed this very night. The time I spent and the time we spent in college is truly special. It can be very challenging at times, but it paves the way for many opportunities and friendships to come. And there is, of course, a lot of fun to be had along the way as well. So I'm honored to be recognized for this small success, but any recognition due to me alone is even smaller still. No great achievement is really ever made alone. And so I just want to recognize all the help and support that went into it along the way. So let me just say simply thanks to my family, friends, classmates, teachers, and everyone who was involved in my journey through UCD for their constant support and always providing me a platform to chase my ambitions. So thanks very much, and please enjoy your night.
The UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School Alumnus of the Year 2015 is Gordon Hardy, MBA 1994, and we have a video to talk about his particular success.
Native of Cork, Gordon graduated with an MBA in 1994. Gordon has spent his career in complex multicultural environments and has extensive experience of building businesses and relationships in all regions of the world, serving in executive director and CEO roles.
Well, I first met Gordon Hardy back in 1994 when he strode with some purpose and a long black coat, well tailored, into my office in Irish Distillers. Brandishing a job application in one hand and a freshly minted MBA from UCD in the other.
For 4 years, Gordon successfully led the development of Jameson Irish Whiskey in the Americas and Asia Pacific regions, with the US market now being the largest and most profitable of markets for Jameson worldwide.
But one of the things was I introduced him to Australia in my time, and he reckoned he had a lot more to add to that big continent of a country.
During his time in Australia, Gordon worked with a number of companies, including Foster's Brewing Group, South Corp Wines and Goodman Fielder Bakeries.
His business record is impeccable. He's a tremendous performer, has a terrific track record of recovering situations. His Goodman Fielder record was outstanding.
I was being told by the ad agency that their new Goodman Fielder client, a bloke called Gordon Hardy, was a breath of fresh air. Apparently creative, prepared to take risks, wanting to do things differently, and when I met him, it was absolutely true.
He took an underperforming business and turned it into something that was a benchmark in terms of world standards.
He leads from the heart. He's able to take people on a journey with him, build high-performance teams based on trust, rapport.
My key and lasting impression of Gordon is the quality of leadership he showed in maximising the performance of the Goodman Fielder baking business.
Gordon was also appointed to the board of directors of Food Bank, an organisation that delivers food into underprivileged communities throughout Australia. For his work in this, Gordon was the recipient of the annual Food Bank Australia Innovation Award in 2007.
Look, he's one of those guys who was always prepared to push the envelope, think outside the square and do things a little differently. He really put in the effort to make a difference, and that was fantastic.
I never remember Gordon as being other than very positive, and seeing what others were seeing as a challenge, he would interpret as an opportunity.
And one of those opportunities came in 2011 when Gordon was approached to lead the food and ingredients business of Bunge Limited, a worldwide agri-foods business with revenues of $61 billion. To Gordon, this was an opportunity that was too hard to resist.
Gordon has been a breath of fresh air for Bunge International. Operational excellence, accountability, transparency, measurement, safety, relentless focus on the customer.
He is a person that is always reaching out and always trying to learn and always trying to improve.
He's a hands-on guy, without a doubt, but he's a team builder at the same time, and he never stops learning, and he expects the same from the people who work with him.
Gordon has led one of the most geographically diverse careers of any Irish leader I know. I mean, he operates on all 5 continents, he's lived in most of them.
And going all over the world, Gordon now leads the global performance and strategic development of the food and ingredients business, with profits doubling since 2011.
Gordon is really an example, if you like, of us all how to live our lives both from a professional and a personal point of view.
He's a great leader. He loves people, he loves working with people.
He's a real team player and is very capable of making the man beside him the hero, which is one of the great attributes of any sportsman.
He's a voracious reader, and he brings the things he reads and the nuggets that he discovers to the workplace and brings them to life.
He understands the business, he understands the strategy.
It's a remarkable reach that he has, and I think he's achieved so much, and he flies the flag for us all so proudly.
Gordon has been a fantastic friend of all of us in the Gaelic Players Association over the last number of years, and has been a real champion in the area of mental health.
A natural-born philanthropist. Gordon and Rachel are immensely generous to causes back home, particularly providing access to education for those from difficult backgrounds. He's never forgotten where he's come from, and he's bringing it back home.
His success hasn't changed in one bit. He's completely grounded, very personable individual. Gordon doesn't do ego, and I think one of his greatest strengths is his humility.
I rang him a couple of weeks ago, and he was somewhere wonderfully exotic. I think it might have even been the Kingdom of Bhutan. And wherever he was, and whatever the time zone was, I was greeted with a how you buy, which I'm sure was a real challenge for the Bhutanese.
Gordon, congratulations. The recognition is well deserved.
I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing you in Australia.
Congratulations and enjoy your night.
Congratulations, mate. We miss you.
Congratulations, Gordon. I think you're a worthy recipient of this award.
Gordon, on behalf of all of your friends in the Gaelic Players Association and all of your friends in Cork, congratulations.
You are truly a worthy recipient, and have a great evening, mate.
Congratulations, Gordon, ar an dúis speisialta seo. Congratulations and well done on all you've achieved so far.
Congratulations, Gordon. You deserve this award.
Gordon, congratulations. You're a mighty man. Have a mighty night. You well deserve it.
Please welcome Gordon Hardy, MBA 1994, the UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School Alumnus of the Year 2015.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's great to be back in Dublin tonight, and it's great to see the city on its way back. You heard I have my marching orders from the chairman, and having been married to a woman from Cork for 20-odd years, I've developed a particular skill in taking instruction. Don't get worried at the paper. The print is large. And being from Cork, I can talk fast. I thank the school for naming me recipient of this award. It is an honour. I'd like to start by congratulating Breed on her award
and I'm honoured to share the podium with such an iconic figure in Irish business. Primark is such a great story, a lifetime's work to be proud of. I congratulate Mark on his award. I beg your pardon. I congratulate Mark on his award, and you cannot help but think that the future of Ireland is bright with graduates like Mark coming through. There's a part of me that envies his interest in China and all the adventures that lie ahead for him. I've got my pages mixed up here, so if you bear with me for a second. If you bear with me. I was a bit nervous coming up here. I think I'll ad-lib it from here. Sometimes you can be a bit too organized. You know, I also congratulate Jim tonight. When I read his bio, the word Renaissance man came to mind, with so many outstanding achievements in so many areas. You know, this award is a recognition of me, but you know, I've achieved what I've achieved in large part because of the woman I married. And so therefore, it's a recognition of Rachel as much as it's a recognition of me. You know, my story is the story of thousands of my generation in Ireland whose parents gave them a great start and were lucky enough to grow up in a country with access to good education. For me, culminating an MBA in Smurfit. The MBA was a springboard for the rest of my career, and I'm grateful for that time here. If there's one consistent element in my career, it's luck. I kept getting lucky with the people I met. My first big break came when I joined Irish Distillers in 1994. And I'm delighted that the man that gave me that break, Kieran Tobin, is here tonight. After a woeful first interview, and I mean me, not him, I was invited back and given the accountability for developing Jameson in North America. I hope that's not my boss. At IDL, it was 5 great years. In 1999, I somehow managed to persuade Rachel to emigrate to Australia. At my farewell lunch at Irish Distillers, one of my colleagues noted that on my departure to Australia, that the average IQ would rise in both countries. He was right about Ireland, but well wide of the mark about Australia. Back then, I had what you might diplomatically call a reputation for intensity. And at that same lunch, Kieran said that Australia was a wonderful, laid-back, relaxed country, but that Gordon would soon sort that out. I'm glad to report that Australia sorted me out. And one of the things I learned there, that in business and in life, sometimes the phrase, "she'll be right, mate," is the perfect approach. Australia is a wonderful country. They call it the lucky country, and indeed it is. And during that time there, I met many wonderful people who gave me the opportunity to take chances long before I was ready for them. In 2011, after riding out to the far end of the paddock on our Australian adventure, Rachel and I decided that it was time to turn the horses for home. And one of the consistent themes, as I said, in my life has been being lucky in meeting extraordinary people. In 2011, I met a man named Alberto Weiser, who had been the 15-year chairman and CEO of Bungie Limited, a business he had taken from 5 or 6 billion to 60 billion over that tenure. And a couple of weeks before I met Alberto, he had dinner with one of our very large American customers, the patriarch of which had just sold his business to a Brazilian business. And so Alberto said to him, so who was Brazilian? How are you getting on with the Brazilians? And this gentleman said, you know, Alberto, he said, you Brazilians, he said, you're like the Irish. Now, Alberto hadn't met many Irish people. He said, what do you mean? Well, he said, like the Irish, you Brazilians are always laughing. You're great fun to be with, but don't get on the wrong side of you. His language was a bit more colorful than mine. And when Alberto told me that story, I've often reflected that, you know, to be able to travel the world, build relationships and deep connections with people, and be nobody's fool is not a half-bad reputation for Irish people to have in the world. You know, it's a great honor for myself and Rachel here tonight, and an award like this anywhere else in the world would indeed be an honor. But to come back home and to be recognized by your own people, well, that is indeed very special. I thank you all for this honor, and I wish you all a fantastic evening.
Gordon Hardy, thank you very much. The UCD Loughlin Quinn School of Business Alumna of the Year 2014 is Bríd O'Donoghue, BCom 1972. Thank you very much.
Bríd graduated with a BCom in 1972. Previous to this, her career had taken her overseas to Switzerland and Germany, following an appointment with the Great Southern Hotel Group. In 1979, she joined Penneys, Primark, which was to play a major role in her career. At the time of joining, she was tasked with building the company's HR department, but was later appointed to the board and assisted in Primark's impressive growth through the 80s and 90s, taking the company from 17 to 287 stores across 9 markets.
Penneys ranks with some of the biggest Irish companies in this country, and she's been part of that team.
She's a very formidable business leader. She has transformed what was a very small fashion retailer on the north side of Dublin into a global fashion powerhouse, still located on the north side of Dublin, I'm happy to say.
When I first joined the business, she was the group HR director, and now she's moved into a new position of overseeing business development and new markets.
Now firmly established throughout Europe, Primark is setting its sights on the US market, and Bríd's vision is leading their entry into this market.
Very first conversation with Bríd and my very first meeting with her, I was inspired, actually. I was inspired by her intelligence and her wit and her warmth, and truthfully, my first impression of meeting her was, wow, she's every bit the Irish firepower I thought she was.
When I came back to Ireland first, which was about 10 years ago, everyone told me there's no good women in Ireland. And I thought I lived in a different country, because of course I knew some amazing women, and chief among them was Bríd O'Donoghue.
And what I always look forward to is what outfit she's going to be wearing. She is the most fashionable woman I have ever seen.
Everybody was very aware of what a powerhouse she was within the Irish fashion industry.
But there's more to Bríd than just fashion.
Not only a phenomenal businesswoman, but an absolute heart of gold as well.
A wonderful person with such a good character, always with a smile, always close to the people. But She can be a strict person. She's a hard worker.
Whenever we open a new store in any new market, Breege delivers a near perfect opening speech in the local language. And when we've opened stores in markets where she doesn't speak the local language, she will learn that language in advance of the store opening, which is incredible.
To say welcome and thank you in 6 different languages without taking a breath nearly, just smoothly transforming from French to German to Spanish, etc. It was fantastic.
She is a truly global personality, a global businesswoman, and I'm tremendously proud of her achievements, and so should this country.
And whenever she upsets me, we always threaten to open a store in China.
Breege has served on a number of organisations and state boards, including An Post and Air Rianta. She is currently a non-executive director at C&C Group plc and also chair of the Labour Relations Commission.
But because of her personality, because of her integrity, because of her sense of fairness, she's respected by everybody as far as that's concerned.
And we've been constantly meeting, and our roles have crossed in terms of her HR responsibilities and my trade union responsibilities. So we've had some very interesting conversations down to the last couple of decades. Not always necessarily agreeing, but always coming up with honourable solutions, I believe.
I think she's the most marvellous role model to anyone graduating from this school or entering it. She works incredibly hard, she has huge willpower. At the same time, she has a thirst for learning. She's really sensitive to the ways of other people. And for all these things, she's also the most extraordinarily kind and generous and thoughtful person.
More recently, Breege was honoured with the inaugural Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2014 Image Businesswoman of the Year Awards. Previously, she had received the Irish Tatler Woman of the Year Business Award.
Breege actually proves something I've been preaching most of my life, that if you put a woman at the heart of your business, you're going to do very well. You're going to be hugely successful.
And I think she's an inspiration. She's an example to anybody that would be wanting to go into business of how hard and how diligent and how professional she is.
She dedicated herself to the company, and most probably, and I say it respectfully, sacrificed her private life, Saturday, Sunday, nights. That's a price that's very hard to measure. And I'm so pleased that she's being recognised here tonight.
Great lady, great business person, a real developer of business, a developer of people, because ultimately people drive business.
She represents everything that I certainly love about fashion, everything that one needs for this difficult, tough world, but she brings such grace, such charm, passion, energy, vitality.
Congratulations, Breege. Well deserved.
Congratulations, Breege. I can't think of a more worthy recipient of any award in business than yourself.
Breege, as you've taught me, gorgeous, parabens.
Breege, genuine congratulations. I can't imagine anybody more worthy.
Félicitations.
Congratulations, Breege. Another very well-deserved award.
Herzlichen Glückwunsch.
Hearty congratulations, Breege, for your well-deserved Alumnus of the Year award. But don't be thinking of hanging up your hat anytime soon, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Breege O'Donoghue, BCom 1972, the UCD Loughlin Quinn School of Business Graduate of Alumni of the Year.
Kieran, go raibh míle maith agat. A gcuine úsla, tá anáthas orm bhean se anocht, má bhuaile bhuicas a UCD agus a Corla. My learning journey. Learning isn't only about what happens sitting at a school desk. Like others, I'm a blend of my formal and informal learning, and if I unpack my significant influences, my formative experiences, critical incidents, they would look something like this. Firstly, I had the blessing of a stable foundation in the home to which I had the good fortune to be born. I chose well. Parents who were formed in the politics of the national struggle from opposing sides of the treaty, parents with perspectives of the world, whether global or parish, that extended and enhanced my horizons. Home was a farm, a good learning hub. Resourcefulness, adaptability, solution focus, and a nous for commerce and politics are essential for the vagaries of agriculture. That was my learning environment. The hedge schools thrived in the 19th century, Clare, and just as I was born too late for them, I was too early for Donogh O'Malley's Free Education Act 1967. And I literally missed the bus of the school transport system. 1950s Ireland had a different landscape. Many pupils did not complete their primary education. Few went on to second level, and a tiny proportion reached third level. Taking 1950 as a snapshot, 14 was then the established national school leaving age, but not always reached. And the number of full-time students at the universities in Ireland was 7,900. I acquired my secondary education with the Sisters of Mercy, Gorton, County Galway. This was a privilege not known to all from my parish and too few nationally. I followed a curriculum that was academic with an absence of technical subjects, a low priority on the sciences, and a privileged position given to religion and Gaeilge. It was a curriculum thought to produce intellectually vigorous individuals, which some might find difficult to reconcile with a compliant disposition widespread amongst the Irish of that era. However, I acquired a firm foundation across the educational domains that has stood me in good stead and for which I appreciate the contribution of the good sisters. It was Yeats who said, education is not the filling of the pail, but the lighting of a fire. My formal and informal education has continued ever since, and less in a pattern or schedule of blocks, but in a pattern that's interwoven the worlds of both my employment and formal learning as suited my life. This has included years at University College Dublin, and in relation to which I'm honoured to be your guest, about which I have this to say. Though not well developed at the time, I'm a fan of education that bridges both worlds of work and worlds of scholarship. Such was my experience. I'm a fan too of the educational model that is lifelong and has openings, routes, schedules and access points as befits so many students with other commitments. That hadn't been well developed in my late teens, early 20s, when rates of third level participation was low. My university educational ambition was realised when I graduated in Commerce 1972, and I congratulate UCD in introducing nighttime degree courses all those many years ago. Since graduating, I was fortunate to have attended many short programs of studies at other excellent colleges, Cornell University, Harvard Business School, and international language schools. Learning is lifelong, and language can be one aspect of that. English, a major language of commerce and trade, isn't the language of every major economy, trading partner, customer, supplier. As Primark has expanded beyond the English-speaking world, so too, to some degree, have my language skills. For that, I was well positioned in my earlier career, I spent some years working in Switzerland and Germany, and through this I had a familiarity with languages, which I have since refined and developed with blood, sweat, tears and joy to resource me for Primark's entry into new markets. I wish I could say it'd been easy, but maybe there's reason that the English-speaking US is our next market. Another steep learning curve for this fan of the printed word has been the demise of the printing press and the explosion of disruptive technology. A digital revolution, a third industrial revolution, an information age came fast and furious, and for me at mid-career stage. For a while, it seemed the young excelled at IT and the over 40s struggled, but praise the world, I got there. Back to UCD in honouring me this evening, I wish to acknowledge my late husband, James St. Lawrence O'Dea, a medical doctor, was also a graduate of University College Dublin. So too are 8 of my 10 wonderful stepchildren. Of the 2 others, whom I might have to deny in the presence of this hallowed university. One attended the Frebel College, now based in Maynooth University, and the other renegade, studied, played, and drank in Trinity College, and he still does. and he still does. John Henry Newman, later a cardinal, founded the Catholic University of Ireland, which evolved into University College Dublin, and today our largest university. A scholar and acknowledged as one of the great minds of the 19th century, the ID of University set the ethos and remains the founding spirit that fuels this university. His ethos has spoken to many students on their various diverse and individual learning journeys over several generations. For my learning journey, there are nuggets within Cardinal Newman's wisdom that make explicit what has always been my experience. One such example in that he stated, "Growth is the only evidence of life." I understand this wisdom to advise that stagnation of any form, personally or professionally, is the wrong option, to which I concur. I hope in some way my life so far has borne witness to something of the ethic of your founding father and of this university in its more modern manifestation. And I take this opportunity to thank University College Dublin for their role in my learning journey and for this support, honour and appreciation tonight in naming me UCD Quinn School Alumni of the Year 2015. Sinna Bhuile Córide Gael, Gur Míle Maith.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bríd O'Donoghue, enjoy the rest of the evening. Ní féidir mór an eile rá an íg sin. Gur míle maith agaibh. Tar ara.